Good morning, team. I'm trying out this new app called Screen Share. So let's see how this works. But I want to do our staff meeting virtually because of the storm. So I'll start off with our shout out. So first of all, I want to shout out Miss Nelson for helping us create the pre-K 3 and pre-K form for our returning students, which I'll talk about briefly. A huge shout out to Miss Dunn for the professional development that we had regarding how to make your small group activities fun, really focusing in on the literacy and focusing on the phonomic awareness skills for our kiddos. I know some of the teachers definitely took a lot away from it, and we're going to have our second PD hopefully sometime in February. Also wanted to shout out Miss Abdasami for again continuous work with all the stuff that she does for our laptops. And when we have about 15 laptops that are damaged now, but she's on top of all those. So thank you so much for that. Huge shout out to Miss Chevalier as well, who is working with the admin team to try something new. And hopefully we'll see if it works out. And then finally, a shout out to Miss Askenazi for constantly looking for feedback and also for supporting her teams as well. So I wanted to shout out all of those shout outs and all of the pairs as well. You guys have been crucial to all the coverage that we had in terms of we have a lot of staff who have been sick. But thank you for everyone who's been supporting coverage. I know that we rely heavily on paras to do the lunchways for our pre-K staff as well. So thank you guys so much. Going back to our PSEA goals. So again, our PSEA goals overall, I just wanted to go over. So we're still continues focusing in on our small group instruction, right? So we want to make sure that our small group instructions are rigorous and they're aligned to the standards, right? So that's like our number one goal. We want to make sure that our staff feels connected. That's one of our goals as well. And then finally, that we are utilizing our second step curriculum, right, and meeting the needs of our SEL students, which is the goal over here. We haven't really talked much about this, but I know Ms. Barnaby is going into the classroom. She's doing all her SEL lessons. As teachers, make sure that you are also following the second step curriculum. But I just want to bring that back to make sure that I know we haven't talked much about it, but again, just want to put that on your radar as well. But our number one goal is our alignment of standard covered in our small group lessons to improve the quality of our instruction. So parent teacher conference is all next week. So again, January 30th is from 5 to 7 p.m. and January 31st is 1:15 to 3:30 p.m. If you are going to have any parents come earlier than that, then please make sure that that happens after 15 minutes of dismissal. So parent teacher conference should not start at 4 p.m. because again, we have lots of buses that run late, and then we just need to make sure for safety and efficiency that our parents are, we cannot sign parents into the building. So make sure that if you are setting up meetings, then there are 15 minutes after the dismissal. Couple of the other things that again parent teacher conferences, so it's another time that they're coming into the building. Make sure your bulletin boards are updated, make sure that they display student work. If they're coming into your classroom, again making sure that how we are welcoming them, how does the classroom feel welcoming. I know that some of the teachers previously also put some desk in front of their classrooms that have them sign in or have some fun activities as they're waiting. So you can also do that as well. Please, please, please also put at least 3 chairs in front of your classroom because we know that some of the, because of the second conference, that meeting might go over. So parents need a place to sit. So make sure that you either have 3 chairs that are in their classrooms, in front of their classrooms, so that parents can sit and wait. Um, and then if you have any other question regarding parent teacher conferences, then please let us know as well. So our parent teacher conference sheets are over here. Make sure that you are updating all of your parent teacher conferences sheets when as you get them. And then shortly, I will also talk about one thing that we have to add to in the notes that you guys are going to add. Okay, so make sure that we're updating for the parent teacher conferences. One thing I also wanted to talk about was for parent teacher conferences for all of our pre-K 3 families. So this is something Miss Nelson worked with the admin team to create this, but it's basically it's a form that our families will fill out that basically asks them one of these three questions that says whether your child's returning to Betances, and then if they're not returning to Betances, or if they're looking to go somewhere else. Also has information regarding if a child turns 4 before September 1st, if they're eligible to enter pre-K 4 families. We have 13 families in pre-K 3 who are affected by this. So we will talk to all of our pre-K teams separately regarding this matter. But we want to make sure, especially for our pre-K 4 families, that you are filling this out, and then that we have a hard copy of that as well. Um, when you are having the discussion. So we have an accurate account as we are pulling in for numbers. So think, please, if you have any other question, let us know. But we will have a separate meeting with you guys shortly. Okay. So please do that as well. We have similar thing for our pre-K 4 families as well. For kinder to fourth family, you are also asking all of our families to whether they are returning or not for BLL. Any parents who are not returning or not remaining at BLL, or then please highlight in and then put not returning and make sure that you highlight it so that we have it, and then again as we are going through our RASCO numbers, we have the accurate number. So that's also one thing that you will have to fill out when you are having the conference with your families. If you're having a phone conference, then please remember to ask them if they are keeping the child at BLL, or if they're going to if they're going to another district as well. Fourth grade, for you guys, you don't have to worry that much, anything else, but you can still ask them if they have any questions regarding next year. If they do, please forward them over to either Miss Barnaby or Miss Medina, who can support them with that work as well. Okay. Actually, it will be not Miss Barnaby, it will be Miss Molina and Miss Medina who can support them in terms of RASCO application question for any of our fourth grade families. Because I know one thing that we also have to make sure that they are filling out their application form. So that's for parent teacher conferences as well. Open house. So during the parent teachers for conferences, we will also have an open house from between 5 to 6 p.m. and on January 31st from 1:30 to 3 p.m. As of now, we do not have a lot of parents who have signed up. However, it will be open. So if you see, if I bring a family around your classroom, or in the hallways, I'm walking with them, just know that's the reason why. We wanted to get our families to see, we are having the open house during the parent conferences so that they can actually see what is it like in terms of when we have parents in the room, as well as they have an opportunity to have our book fair, which is also occurring next week, and then kind of some of the PTOs also hosting on the late night hot chocolate as well. So again, as we are recruiting, we want to make sure that our families get to see all the things that we are doing. So that's why we're having the open house from 5 to 6 and 1:30 to 3 p.m. If you have any time that you have flexibility within your during parent teacher conferences and the support in this matter, please just email myself or Miss Valera, and then we can go from there. Okay, so that is for the open house. We also have Hartford School open house on February 3rd, for the rest, again, to recruit families. So thank you to Miss Salsi, Miss Rosamond, Miss Nelson, Miss Moya for signing up to support that fair. We truly appreciate that. I'm looking for people for March 2nd as well, and one in for April. So if you would like to support, please just fill out the information here. You will be compensated for your time. So please do that. And again, this is how we recruit families. So I think a lot of times it's great that they hear from me, but when they see you guys and how, then they feel way more comfortable. And again, it's for us, it's word of mouth is how we really recruit. So we really need your help in terms of that. So if you want to support that, and we'll greatly appreciate that. Rascal recruitment in terms of for Rascal recruitment. Um, we are losing a couple of families that you have noticed already. Some of them are moving to North Carolina, or other state, but some of our Asian families are moving to North Carolina due to Cigna. I talked to one of our families, and they informed me that basically Cigna has a opening of own branch over there in North Carolina, and they give our families an option to move there. It's cheaper, the weather's nicer, so much some of our families are moving to North Carolina. That's why it's essential that during those parent-teacher conferences, especially if you have a lot of families who work in Hartford, and they're in the insurance agency, that if you ask them that there's remaining or if they're moving, because that will help us with our RASCO numbers. Okay, so thank you very much for that. I did want to give you that update as well. And if you're wondering why our family's moving, well, that's the reason why. It's not because they do not like Batanzas. It's because, again, it's just for the job relocation. Dibbles data tracker. So again, thank you for working with us in terms of the tracking data and providing specific sub skills for our students. It is critical. I know that when we introduced this, district was not doing this, but a week later, district implemented a similar plan, that what we were already. So we were actually ahead of the curve in terms of doing this. So what I wanted to show you guys was that a kind of really we have to be meticulous in terms of what skills are we really specifically targeting for our student. So I think let me just hide this real quick, and I want to show you the example for Miss Askenazi, and then again for every single student for her sub skills based on the letter assessments, she has identified the exact sub skill. So if I look at Aiden, I know that anytime I go into Aiden, that for the next weeks and a half or 2 weeks or whatever, that she will be working on letter sound th, sh, swa, and then in the CVC words in terms of short vowels and blending, right? Again, for Muhammad, we know that Muhammad is a second year at in the United States, right? So he's working with letter sound with those specific letters, right? And as well as the CVC words, right? So that is a specificity that we are asking for, right? And again, because then we know exactly what the kids are working on, and if they're not making progress, then we can take necessary next steps to provide them with extra resources and support, so that that they're reading at grade level. Because when they're not reading at grade level, again, it's harder for them to catch up. If you want to see other examples, Miss Chevalier, very similar to that, as well as Miss Winkler. Okay, so we're gonna give you guys all the way until Friday of this week to please update the Dibbles tracker form, because I know that some of you are still completing letters testing, and I know that Miss Ellison, let me shout them out now, Miss Ellison, Miss Valera, and I think Miss Brewery are also. They also did letters testing for some of you, for some of our kiddos. So again, utilizing that data, please make sure that they are specific, right? And again, it directly aligns to what we have to do as well. So I'm just going to forward, and if you look at our set meeting, so we have our set meeting today, but during our set meetings, we have to, again, we're talking about our data and what are we doing, what is our problem of practice and what we're focused on. So again, our problem of practice is providing rigorous small group instruction based on student needs. Again, that's basically aligned to our PSEA. However, if you look at our Dibbles data, right, and if you look at our Dibbles data for kinder and first grade, as well as second and third grade, this is the district right here. This is Batanzas here. Again, district on top and Batanzas here. So for the most part, we have almost flat line in terms of like our overall progress, right? So we know that kids are making growth, but when it shows up when they are doing Dibbles testing, it's just still showing the below grade level. We also know that the goal has also moved from them, right? So before it took I think it's like 340 or 350 was the scale score, but then for the second round it's 390. So we all understand that. However, again, like what we sell to our parents and to our families is that we are going to, by the time they get to fourth grade, that they're going to be able to read at grade level, and they're going to have the same skill for math, right? That is what we sell when we recruit our families, right? And then we also tell them that we utilize data and provide individualized student instruction based on that. So that is what we do, right? So that is the reason when I'm talking about Dibbles, or when we're talking about Dibbles, to be that specific. And again, it aligns to what we're talking about in terms of our set meetings, our goals, but also aligns to our Rasco recruitment, right? So everything um, is in motion that we're providing high quality education to improve our students, right? So again, that's the reason rationale why. If you have any other question in terms of providing like the specific skills, and if you don't know which sub skills to pick, then please just reach out to the Miss Valera, Miss Ellison, and myself, and we can support you with that work. Okay, but that make sure that you look at your the data tracker, and then that is due by February by January 26th, which is this Friday. Okay, formal and informals. Again, for non-tenure staff is February 1st. For tenure staff is February 15th. So we're still working on that as well. Our last round of set walk will begin the first or second week of March. Okay, so that's when we're starting our last round of set walks for the school year. So I wanted to give you put that on your radar as well. Finally, please make sure that we are checking with your ACE team members, and they will also come in to check with you if you have any concerns regarding our Tier 3 students or our Tier 2 students. If you see the absences are creeping up, so please check in with them to support, so that we can support you, but we also know that we have a reason why the kids are being absent, and we can follow up as well. Now, the next part about so we had our reimagining and innovative of schoolwork that we talked that we hosted. We had a student shadow visits, and we had created a trend. Let me see if I can find that document. Give me 1 second. Student trends. So Miss Valera and myself will we basically looked at all of the noticing and wondering when all of the principals came in and with the student shadow visits. So first of all, these were all of the noticing. So again, all of the in all the classroom, the main trend that was that their positive interaction with others, the students did with the teachers, parents, and the peers. They were engaged in the tasks the teacher set for the student up with. They relied on other students to be helpers and teachers to assist in the task. I know that I personally saw when I went to the classroom that the other students were helping that student stay on task and say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong. You're supposed to be working on this." And it was, but that's comes from culture that you guys have developed, and our students were really helping each other out. Met with and what he or she believed to be the expectations, right? So based on what they understood the expectation, they were following what the teacher request was, and finally remain on task with himself and herself with the partner, right? So majority of the time, the students was on task with their partner. The wondering that the as a team that we had was like, the student clearly understand the purpose, right? So a lot of times that we pick the students who might be struggling with the content. So like some of the wondering was like, does this student really understand, or they were just being compliant, right? Is the task or ask relevant to the student, right? So that's some of the level of the work that we are working on for the future. So sometimes kind of that was one of the wondering, how to increase student voice and choice and interest, right? So when they're working in small groups or they're working with the teachers, how can you provide more opportunity for do that as well? And how are activities chosen and selected by for the students, right? So again, like if the activities are chosen, is it based on data? They just have a or like why was it chosen, right? So there were some of the wonderings that the team had regarding. But overall, during the INET visit, everyone spoke very highly in terms of our classroom culture, in terms of your preparation for the instructional, right? The kids, they talked about how happy they were, right? And then the joy of learning, right? Like I think that's kind of the theme that we kept coming back to. So those were some of the things that we talked about. That were some of the trends. Now we're going to talk about our how might we question, right? So based on, so we have a specific research, right, that we talked about and we briefly introduced. So our question, based on the discovery report and based on all of the stuff that we had, was like, how might we provide relevant, rigorous, and authentic academic experiences to meet the needs of all students and give them opportunities to make the content more hands-on or project-based, right? So that is, we believe that based on the discovery report and based on the feedback that we got, that if we focus on these three criteria, then we're going to push and become we're going to push our instructional practice and we're going to become innovative, right? So what we need is, we need your feedback on this particular question. Whether do you agree with this question, or do you agree that these are the three areas that we should focus on in order to become innovative, or is there something else, right? So this particular worksheet that we were, not a worksheet, but it's basically a survey that we need your input. We need you to fill this out by Friday, okay? Because we need all of your help. So that's why we were going to meet actually a little bit earlier this week, to so that we can talk about this as a team, get your feedback, and you will have and you should have opportunity during staff meeting to fill this out. However, because we are doing a virtual, we're going to place this in your mailboxes, and it is due by 12 p.m. on Friday. Okay, so I will put this in all of your. We will put this in all of your mailboxes, and it's due by 12 p.m. on Friday. So if you have any questions on this, ask any of the ID team members as well as myself, Miss Valera. Then we can give you more information. Okay. Now the second part of this thing is that we wanted to explain was that we also want our parents input as well. Okay, so during parent teacher conferences, we want our families to also answer this question as well, which is similar to our innovative work. So how can we give your child learning skills that are rigorous, relevant, and authentic, right? And then all of our parents, majority of them, we're going to give them this particular form, and then we're asking for their feedback as well. So what we need from you is that basically on the other side of this form for the staff, we're going to have this form as well. And if you have any feedback on this particular form for parents that we're going to send out, then please put your feedback in, and then we will make a adjustment based on your feedback. So we are looking for your feedback on this survey form, right, that we're going to give out to all of our families. So the way this form is going to work is that we're going to print out all of the copies on Friday, right? And we're going to put them in your mailboxes. You are going to then give this form to all of your students, and we're going to ask all of our families to fill this form out before they come to the parent teacher conferences, right? And then if they have filled it out, then you're going to go onto your parent teacher conferences, and then you are going to mark it in the notes section over here where it says additional notes that they filled out the form, right? And say, I'm going to just change this to filled out the form, and you're going to say yes, okay? And then we're going to go from there. So that's what we're asking for now. Those families, you can ask them like, hey, did you fill out the form? If they said, oh, I did not fill out the form, then we will give extra copies to you as well. So then you can give them form out. You can give that form to them and then say, can you please fill this out before you leave? And then they can give it to us as they're leaving. We will have a box where on a table or a stand where they can basically hand in the form. So again, we're also looking for our parents feedback in terms of our iNet work, in terms of being rigorous, relevant, and authentic. And we're asking for their feedback. So if you have any question regarding this, please contact, let us, me, myself, and Ms. Valera know, and we can answer anything for you. But we will, once we get your feedback, we'll make any necessary changes. We'll make copies of everything. We'll put it in your mailboxes. Your responsibility is to, number one, is to give each child this form. Then B, when during parent teacher conference, you're going to ask them, did you complete this form? And then if they have, you're going to collect it. And then you're going to also update on your tracker as well that they have completed the form. And then once all of the parent teacher conference are over, you're going to give that all of your forms to the ID team member who is part of your who's on your team, right? So for each grade level, there's an IDT member that represents that grade level. So you're going to give that to them. For pre-K3 and pre-K4, Ms. Valera or myself will collect those forms. Okay. So for that will be the go-to person for pre-K3, pre-K4. For everyone else, for kinder to fourth, there is a point person who is also part of the IDT member that you are going to give them forms to, and they'll collect all the forms and they'll give them back to us as well. Again, this is for our research in terms of our innovative work as we move forward into the next year. And we also need your help as well. Okay. So please give us any feedback that you guys have. Finally, we have our new staff, Mr. Carlos Perez. He's our head custodian. He's been awesome so far, right? He's just jumping right onto the thing. I heard that he put in a bunch of work orders for stuff that we need to get fixed. So we wanted to introduce him as well. I'm going to also add in over here that para positions. So based on the last time when we had the budget meeting, we are as of now they're increasing our para position from 8 to 10 for the upcoming school year because of the needs that we have. So that's for the upcoming school year that they're increasing the position from 8 to 10. Actually, I put there's already over there. I don't know why I wrote this. And then finally, we have a second round of budget meeting. I think the first week of February. Once we figure everything else, I'll give you update. We'll give you update as well. Open door policy. If you have any questions on again what we said, then please let us know. And then again, I'm going to put down that this form is due by Friday, 12 p.m. Okay. And I think that's it for staff meeting. So if you guys have any other questions, just let us know, and then we'll go from there. Thank you very much.